right.
going on, man? How can I help you out?
All right. So I've been listening to you and Zach for I'd say about a year now since I started. So I have a couple of deals under my belt that it was more so JVing, and I was helping people find buyers and whatnot, and we made a decent amount of money when the market
Okay.
was in a better position. So now with the change, we've been focusing more on we kind of felt like we were working for somebody, just finding them buyers. So me and my partner switched more to we're sourcing the deals ourselves now, and we're sourcing the buyers ourselves now.
Okay.
So we've got 4 properties right now under contract. One of them is actually a lot, but we're just having trouble as far as presenting the deals to the cash buyer, and also just sourcing them, just finding them. We've gone on PropStream and played with the filters and pulled the different cash sales and people that have bought 4 to 10 different properties all cash in that market within the last year or so, and we'll reach out to them. And I'd say from maybe, let's say out of 50, we might get maybe 3 legitimate cash buyers that we could potentially use in the future. But we're just in trouble as far as presenting the deal to them in a way where it makes sense.
So you're using a lot of words here, and I don't know if I'm missing something, but what do you mean by presenting to them? I'm just trying to understand what's going on here.
So if I get on the phone and, because normally what we'll do is we'll put them in a list and we'll call. If we don't get them answering, we'll send out a text blast to them. Hey, we noticed you bought X, Y, and Z property for cash in this zip code. Are you interested in, at buying any more deals at a 30 to 40% discount? Something along those lines in the text. And when we get them on the phone, it's more or less the same, how we go about it. And we'll let them know, we've got a property in this area, whatever it is, a single family, multifamily, and we'll give them the specs, and we'll basically break it down and let them know what the asking price is and how much work it would need. So I don't know if it's just maybe it's the buyers that aren't interested in the deal or the area that we're in, or if we're just not pricing it right. It seems like we're struggling with.
So let's just pick one deal. How many cash buyers have you had to where you could actually present it to them? Just tell them about it.
Okay, so right now we're in Pennsylvania in the Newcastle Market.
Yeah.
And I've noticed just from speaking to cash buyers that it's a little rough in Newcastle. So from those deals that we have there alone, we pulled, I believe, in the first 2 or 3 days when we were marketing it, we pulled about 100, maybe 120 of the quote unquote cash buyers from PropStream to call. I'd say out of those 100, 120, we've gotten maybe about 3 or 4 that were semi-interested.
So what's the average price points on your 4 properties?
Well, they're a bit scattered. They're not all in the same market.
Okay.
But on average, well, when you say average price point, is that once they're fixed up or what we have them locked up for?
What do you got them locked up for, roughly?
On average, they're about 10 grand.
Okay, so listen, you're in the really low income properties, and here's the deal: it's there's never a shortage of buyers. It doesn't matter how bad your area is, and it's when you get on the extreme bottom of the market, under 20 grand, it's a whole different world there on buyers. Their buying criteria is very tight. And so if you have 4 under contract and no one's giving you any activity on it, there's only 2 things that can be wrong. I've done this for 20 plus years. Either you bought it wrong and they're politely telling you they're not interested, or you have not contacted enough cash buyers for that area, or it's a combo of both. It can never be anything else. There's no other thing else. You call me and you give me a property 40% off, I'll buy it right now. Hands down. Honestly, I will wire the money as soon as I get off this phone and I'm done. Because because very few people ever present me deals like that. So if you're saying I'm giving you 30, 40% off and then they see it and it's not, then what you have to do is get feedback from them and go, is this attractive? Am I missing on the price? Your cash buyer's feedback is everything, especially when you're new to this business, because you've got to dial it in, because listen, dude, I screw up prices all the time. Sometimes I take calculated risks. You might've got the wrong price, but you got to get that feedback on a timely basis so you can either get out of the contract or renegotiate it.
Right.
But if you're not getting feedback from your cash buyers, you're not funneling them through properly. So the first thing is you kind of vet them and bring them through, and then you talk to them. And if they're excited about getting properties at a discount in that market you're in, then if it's attractive, they're going to jump 9 times out of 10. I know it's more challenging in today's market, but I'm here to tell you, you either have the wrong price or you don't have enough activity, or it's both. It's never anything else. Dude, I do this all the time. I'm after we can't sell a property, our basically after 3 weeks, if we can't get a contract on our typical assignments, we dig in. And so the first thing I always ask for, what is the feedback from my disposition people? And if they don't give me feedback, I go nuts, because that's the one thing you haven't given me. So what are the feedbacks from the few people that you got to connect with?
So I had somebody, one of these guys actually went by yesterday, and he texted me right after he left, and he goes, "Too much work, not interested." So I said, "Too much work for where it's priced, or is it just more work than you're able to take on?" And then he kind of broke it down. He told me, it has about 35,000 worth of work, and the house complete would probably go for 40, 45, which I don't know if it's really 40, 45, because the comps in that area, it's weird. They're hit or miss. So on the same block, 2 houses over, same house, just an extra bathroom, it sold for 89.
So what you have to do is you got to get more feedback. And then if you hear the same rhyme over and over, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, okay, I missed it. And that's it. And you learn. Either you get a deal or you learn. You can't put properties out on the market and get no feedback, because then it kind of shoots your confidence. You're like, crap, I don't want to put anything else under contract because I can't move it. Everybody goes through this struggle when they start out marketing. My first 4 or 5 properties I put under contract were way over. I thought I was knocking out of the park. I was so clueless. And you know what I did is I had a cash buyer sit down, and I had an older gentleman. He wound up buying like 75 of my properties. He sat down and took me to lunch. He's like, "Do you know how to comp?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I just look for people motivated." He's like, "Okay, this is what you got to do." And I kind of figured things out. I had to go through that journey to learn it. You have to do it too. You are trying to figure out your market. So are you doing this virtually or locally?
Virtually. So I started locally. I'm from New York, and I realized the New York market it's different. It's very different.
No, I know. So like my challenge is I started out in a lot of lower income neighborhoods, Section 8. And I'm going to give you the warning. It's a lot of work. It's very dramatic, and I don't like to fish in that market because it requires so much effort. And there's a lot of turnover, a lot of canceled contracts on both sides because of the nature of the beast. But if you're comfortable with it and you understand it, then that's fine. But I'm just telling you, I had quite a few incidents when I was younger and doing the business. I'm like, I don't want to risk my life. This is like pointless. And then my wife had to talk me off the ledge. She's like, you can't be driving these neighborhoods at night. So I had the back of my window broken in. I've been held up. I've had some really bad stuff happen to me, and I'm out there collecting rents in all cash. And I just decided to get out of that. I just didn't want to do it. So first of all, you got to deal with the contracts you have right now. So you got to figure out your inspection periods, and you either got to get out of the contracts or you got to renegotiate. But like, if you're under contract at 10, like, can you get it down to 5? Are they still even going to buy it? Like, maybe same price, maybe it's just not a doable property, because sometimes when they need so much renovation, people just don't want to touch them in the lower end neighborhoods. So you're going to have to make a business decision. But like right now, you got to take these 4 contracts, and you just got to try every Hail Mary you can. Activity cures a lot of problems. So get creative, find people that will buy the properties and push harder. You can go much past prop stream and batch. You can go to public records. You can go to realtors that service in that neighborhood, although I doubt there's a lot of realtors that service this. Just dig deep, and then either you're going to make money or you're going to get a lesson from it. Either way, it's going to develop what you're going to do. Maybe you decide to go, I don't want to do this market challenge. Like, it's challenging to get these properties sold because they're in such distress in rough neighborhoods. You might come to that decision. It took me 2 years to get out of there. I just said, once the back window got broke, I had to explain it to my wife. She's like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "I don't know. A guy just threw a rock at my window and it freaked me out." But
yeah, the reason we moved to this market is because we noticed the motivation was just so much great. Like, we started pulling in so many more leads that were actually motivated compared to where we started. So we figured, this would probably be a better place to start out. And the realtors there, they're like the typical, big box realtors that have been brainwashed, like you said. I spoke to a bunch of them yesterday. They couldn't understand the concept. So I did have another question as far as the cash buyers. I've never really heard you guys talk about it, but it popped into my head. Do you ever look at, or do you try to look at the amount of cash sales or cash buyers that are in a certain market and determine whether or not it's feasible?
So we're always looking at that, and here's the problem with it is by the time you get the information, it's dated. So like that's the challenging part in real estate, is to identify trends. You got to look at the past history, and by the time the history's passed, if you're not ahead of as a wholesaler, then you got to pay today's retail prices for it. So I'll give you an example. I found a neighborhood very close to my community, in a very nice community. I found a pocket of just duplexes. Now I found it by accident because I got a probate from there. That probate led to 3 duplexes. The family owned. Dude, they sold it to me dirt cheap, owner financing. I was in shock. I was just like, it took 6 months to straight out the legal paperwork on it. But from that, I bought 5 more in there because I knew. So what happened is I bought them dirt cheap, like under 100 grand. And then I was renting them out for like 2,500 with owner financing. I'm just like, so I connected with a realtor in that area. I go, and she went door to door for me on everyone and got me 5 properties. That's where you can utilize a realtor because I knew everyone was going to figure out what I was doing. And in 4 months, I'm a dead man walking. So that's the problem with information. When you identify it, if you get one property and it works and you guys are farming a certain neighborhood, go crazy because once that data records and stuff, people are going to see what you're up to. And then hundreds of people are going to gravitate towards it and you miss it. Right. So that prime example, I was buying duplexes in a very affluent community. It was just a pocket for 100 grand. They are now priced at $450,000. You could have made $1 million just with this idea alone. So the challenge in wholesaling and real estate specifically is to identify trends. The problem is if you follow realtor comps and all their data they report, they're 3 months behind and they lag 30 days to report it. So you're 4 months behind by the time you go, oh my God, this thing's growing. By the time you see prices growing in an area growing, you're already priced out because all the other investors have put contracts on those properties. And that's what I hate about this business for the long-term play. Like I still love flipping properties. So I always do my wholesale business, but I play like the big boy market, $1 million commercial properties. And I have to look 10 years down the road and it's scary. It makes me uncomfortable, but I enjoy it. Like that's how you got to make the big boy money. And then I use my wholesaling. It just pays me and all my bills and my lifestyle. And I put most of it away. To this day, I put as much as I humanly possibly can away because I plan on doing this the day I die. So you have to identify trends, but the problem in wholesaling, trying to identify trends, if you look at data, you're looking in the rearview mirror. So everybody's looking, just like the stock market, it's always looking 3 to 6 months forward, and you have to do the same thing in real estate. And if you can catch a trend, go crazy. I can't tell you how many times I wish I didn't buy every house on that block when I saw an opportunity, and my mind was too small when I do it. Now I'm crazy. I just recently did this on a mobile home. Like I could go out and try to buy every mobile home in this 1 mile square area. We were buying them for 10 grand. Those mobile homes now, and I bought a lot of them, are now worth $155,000. Wow. And at the time they were running for $300. Now they rent for $1,700. Why? Because I found a Amazon Prime distribution center was 1 mile from this location, and everybody wanted a cheap place to live. Voila!
There you go.
So I liquidated a lot of my Port St. Lucie properties. I moved there, and I got to tell you, the cash flow is like through the roof. Taxes are nothing. I'm like, damn, I wish I bought these things a long time ago. But like sometimes some of the trends are like, guys, look for these Amazon Prime distribution centers. They have thousands of employees, and they're all paid good wages, and they're all looking for good, safe homes. So if you can if you can find out where they are. By the way, we all had this data. Amazon made it all public. I didn't find it till I was driving around, like driving for dollars. So like understand, like the more you get in your market, the more you have to understand. This area is up and coming. This is an area where they knock down houses. And then once you can find 1 or 2 of these trends, do your wholesaling and find the trend and then go all in when you do it. Because you're not gambling. You already know where it's going. You just got to find a way to put it together.